So it's a little bit shorter than what we originally, it's like 14.6. The hills are a little bit more gradual after the test ride. I was like, okay, let's try to reroute this. We're gonna do one stop on the way there at Old Williams St. Luke's Cemetery, because there's some history there. We might go on a gravestone search depending on what time it is. Have any of you guys heard of Hexenkopf before?
I read about it today.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, there's like a lot of history about it and a lot of legend about it in this area. Which we'll have a historian meeting us there, so he'll do a better job at like explaining the history of it. But there's like legend. I'm gonna say legend just because it's not written, but like that Native Americans, that was like an important place for them. Possible burial ground around there, and also some jasper mining by there. And then the Germans that settled here, they had like doctors that they called Brockers, and it was kind of, they used a mixture of like religious, like Christianity religious stuff, and like natural healing herbal remedies, and also kind of this like spiritual like energy work. Exactly. So it was like this combination of stuff. And witch rock was important to them because, you know, of all the things they did, one, just a small part of it was that they would expel evil spirits that might show in the form of illness or something of people, and they would expel that into the rock. So that was their belief, you know, whatever you believe is fine. If they did or didn't, that's fine. I'm having a little bit of fun with it, but also I want to be respectful because it's like, you know, it was a place that was like important to people spiritually too. So that being said, yeah, we can get started.
Hola. You miss your owner? You miss your owner? What's your name? Kitty? Kochi? I just tried to... You know how to make face.
What's that?
this guy? Santa Claus.
Welcome to Hexenkopf Preserve. Is this everybody?
No, we have a couple more. We have a couple more coming.
So you came all the way from Hellertown?
Yes,
Yeah, that's cool.
to Water Street in Hellertown.
Yeah. Glad the rain let off for you.
Yeah, me too.
You need rain, but not right now.
Yeah, so we've been riding for about 8 miles, maybe,
Yeah.
from there. Lots of hills. Lots and lots of
wow.
hills.
8 miles.
And we did just stop at St. Luke's Old Williams Cemetery.
Okay. Yeah.
And we found Emmanuel Wilhelm's grave.
Oh, wow.
So-
Okay.
And Diana.
One of the great pow-wow doctors.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. So you did read this book.
I'm about halfway through
Just
it.
half.
Yeah.
It's Bible. So this is the Hexenkopf Preserve. It was donated by Ned and Linda Heindel. They lived in an old stone home just over the hill here, and they bought up all this land around here. And in 2001, they donated 77 acres and included the rocks themselves to the county to establish this preserve. I mean, prior to Ned and Linda, little was known about it, Hexenkopf, or even the history of Williams Township. But, they moved here in 1967. They were both German descent, and they were from the New York area, and they were teachers. And Ned had just received a teaching job as a professor of chemistry at Lehigh, and Linda was an English professor at Moravian. And they moved up here in 1967, and curious academians as they were, they started talking to all these old farmers that lived around here, and then started hearing all these stories about things. And Ed went up to the library in Easton and couldn't find out a lot about things. So little was written about the history. So he took it upon himself to research the history, and led to the first publishing of this book in 1976. And it's on the 5th edition now. It was published in 2003, shortly after Ned passed away. And then Linda's got health issues, so she sold the farm, and after they donated the land, and she's living in a nursing home up in Nazareth. So,
Oh, who lives in their house now?
a woman over on the other side of the township bought it. She said the family was looking for a retreat, and rather than drive 5 hours to West Virginia, why not just come to something in their own backyard?
Yeah, that's cool.
So they were looking for a rural retreat there. They've got young daughters, and they could run around and play, and she bought the place. So,
Nice.
so hopefully it'll keep its retained. She also, in this lot over here, most of the land they put in the conservancy, but they kept that and they sold it to a guy who's building a home there.
Oh, okay.
So it's nice to have a park right in your back, in your front yard, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
We're still waiting on 2 more. There's
Okay.
still, so I don't want you to get too deep into the history.
Okay.
I don't want them.
yeah, I mean, just a lot of
This is the
old stories,
right
unfounded,
back.
untrue, but passed down from generation to
What's
generation.
different, right?
Yeah.
So we'll be going down.
So Hexenkopf is a German word for witch's head. And most of the early settlers in Williams Township were German. There were a few Scotch, Irish, and English, but mostly German. German speaking, German writing, didn't know English, didn't write English. The English scribes that sold them their lands and things butchered their names, and many of their names were spelled differently and said differently over the years. But in the part of Germany they come from, in Rhineland and Palatine, there was a religious practice called brockery. And brockery was a movement that believed that illnesses came from the devil. And they had these doctors, if you will, they called brockers. And they had cures, everything from hexes to herbs to incantations and things that they did to try to cast off the illness or the evil or the troubles of that person into another object. And the object they came from in that area was a place called Bracken Mountain. And when they came here and they saw these rocks, this became the place where the Brackens cast off their evil illnesses and problems and troubles. And somewhere along the line, these Bracken doctors started being called pow-wow doctors. Lore has it that that's an Indian term, and that one of the first doctors or Brackens in this area, a guy named Peter Saylor, treated a lot of the local Indians, and they called him the Great Pow-wow Doctor. And so the term kind of stuck. And throughout Pennsylvania, Dutch country, all over Pennsylvania, these people became known as pow-wow doctors. And in Williams Township, we had Peter Saylor, and we had Jacob Wilhelm, and those two families produced several generations of pow-wow doctors. And they had a lot of books and writings that captured their cures and their hexes and different things that they practiced, that they passed down from generation to generation. A lot of them they brought over from Germany. And it wasn't just this area, it was all over Pennsylvania. And a lot of them practiced that stuff for almost 200 years. I think the last known powwow doctors stopped operating in like 1950. So in this area, it probably started around 1750 and lasted to 1950.
So was Dr. Saylor, was he like kind of the first German rocker in Pennsylvania?
He was the first German rocker in this area. I can't speak for the rest of Pennsylvania, but certainly in this area. And I mean, he was a farmer. He first lived in New Jersey, and then he came over here across the river. Williams Township really wasn't settled until after the walking purchase, because this was Indian land. And after the Penn brothers swindled the Indians out of their land in the walking purchase, they started selling stuff in earnest in 1730s. I think the walking purchase was 1737, and people started buying land and coming here then. Now, because this area is so rocky, it was kind of undesirable farmland. So it was some of the last land sold in the township. And so the houses up here weren't really built until the early 1800s. And a lot of the farmers in the valley, they had cleared all their trees, and they would buy what they called woodlots up here in the stony areas. But they would take down all the trees. And there was a logging road at the back of this preserve that they bring them down from. You can see you start to see the apex over there, where the rocks are. But in the summertime, this is all green. Now the apex, it's like a 3-hump camel. It goes up, down, again.
We feel it. Yeah.
And some people think that if you go on the other side of the apex on the road there and look back to it, that it looks like the witch's head looking up at the sky. And you can see the hat and the forehead and the nose and the chin. But for most part, it's the rock on the end that everybody calls the witch's head. So we're going to see a couple of other smaller rock formations that are called hex rocks. A lot of people think this was an Indian ceremony ground of some kind, but there's really no evidence of that. For the most part, Williams Township was a a shared hunting area between the Lenape people, who are mostly south of here, and the Shawnee to the west of here, and the Iroquois to the north of here. There were some Lenape. The Lenape didn't really have cities or towns. They were migratory. They would camp in an area for a decade or so, and then they would allow that area to replenish itself, and they would move on. And in the wintertime, they would leave their big encampments. Little families would go off and get together in summertime, or in the wintertime. And there was some evidence of a jasper mine about a mile from here on the other end of the Hexenkopf Ridge. But no real evidence that the Indians were doing anything in this area. See, it's becoming more visible there. Some people bought land up here too because they were hopeful they were going to find a lot of iron ore here. Because we had the Durham works nearby, and when a lot of the iron ore, limestone, and timber that they used for charcoal was sent to Durham from Williams Township. There were a few small iron ore holes mined at the bottom of the preserve. But it's really nothing much significant. So it's starting to come into better view now. This is, if you start in between those trees, look up at the top, and that's the Witch's Head rock. It looks like it's really close and easy to get to. But see that there? You can see that between those trees. Now there's so many fallen trees between us and it and other rocks that it would take you an hour.
And we're seeing it from the other side, right? From
Yeah. This is from picking from the road.
But it's like the tippy top rock up there.
Yeah.
That's jutting out.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Plus, there's a lot of trees growing out of the rocks themselves that kind of hide things. But there was a period of a couple decades in the late 1800s where. Ridge goes up, then it goes down, up again, and there's a third hump down there a little bit, and that's all part of the preserve. And on the other side of the final hump is a logging road that goes down to the power. And this is one of the highest points in Williams Township. It's like 680 feet above the river.
Okay. Part of the whole
This is the end
Oh my
of the-
god, it's already started. It's already started. These people.
We're having a private moment.
Oh,
the devil one.
that's alright.
You want to do one more?
how long do you already ride bike?
You mean how long in my life?
Yeah, yeah. Not now. Now.
Since I was 6, maybe.
Really? No, I mean, okay, 6 doesn't count.
Well, I've always ridden a bike. I had polio when I was younger, so I didn't walk well, and my father bought my older sister's bike, and she fell and screamed and didn't want anything to do with the bike, and so he said, "Why don't we let Isaac ride it?" My mother said, "You can barely walk," and I got on the bike and I rode it very easily. And years later, I realized, because I struggled to keep from falling down when I walked, I had a very keen sense of balance. So I got on the bike, and it was liberating for me. And to this day, I still, as poorly as I ride, I walk even worse. I've always balanced better on 2 wheels than 2 legs. So
Thank you for
yeah. So I've always
we'll
it's
post
something
more
I've always
rides.
done. So
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
In the colder weather.
But,
That's cool.
yeah, I mean,
to see you back again.
I walk even more
Yeah,
poorly.
me too.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Yeah,
Happy
bye.
holidays.
You too.
Yeah, you too.
See you
See you. See you soon.
See you on the trail someday.
You will.
Another time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I was on a lot of hills today.
Ah, cheers.
We did it. We did it. You did it. You did it. You did it. Me did it.